So I'm Eva Skytt and I'm from Sweden, and I will talk a bit about the research-based education in Sweden. And it seems like we have a lot of in common with the Scottish speaker. Just a small glance over what we have in Sweden. We have about 47 universities and higher education institutions in Sweden, and 26 of them have the right to examine education at all levels, bachelor level, master level, and doctoral levels. And some of the institutions are not allowed to have doctoral levels. All higher education is funded by government, and it's also free of charge of going in school in Sweden. And the fundings are based on the number of the students and their study performance. So in order to get the money, they need to also fix all their exams and everything. And the research is in a similar way, that you also get a lot of governmental fundings for research at the universities. And it's also based on performance, but a lot of the funding is also external, and it could be the community or external companies, the industry, and a lot of other things. And this is a bit of a problem also, because then all the big universities get a lot of governmental fundings that the smaller universities don't get. So in order to have a research-based education, you also actually need to have a good research, to have a research-based education. And not all the small universities can actually provide that because they don't get enough money from the government. And it's stated by law that all our education are supposed to have a close connection between research and education. So we actually do need to have research-based education. And as Professor Nolan talked about earlier, she had a lot of good advantages why we should have research-based education, of course. And I think we who sit here we want to have a research-based education because we think it's an advantage for our students, of course, and lifelong learning. A problem in Sweden when you talk about research-based education is that actually only 2/3 of the higher education are performed by teachers with low or no research experience. And that's quite a lot, and of course it differs in different universities. But it's also in the bachelor level the most of these teachers are teaching. But it's a very low number, I would say, at least. And if you go to the really, really good researchers, they are very seldom in the classroom. As you see here, only 1 out of 20 hours are actually done by a professor or a research leader. And that's quite astonishing, I think. So what we need is we actually need to get the researcher back into the classroom again. And I think that's a very big challenge. When I heard Professor Nolan's talk here, I think they have made a very good approach by having this national view of the research-based education, that they actually have done something national and have special things that they would like to do. In Sweden, it's like this, that it's stated in the law that we should have a research-based education, but then it's up to every university to do as it likes, so to say, and then they will get to be evaluated later. And so the big problem is that how can we actually accomplish a research-based education. And I also hope that this seminar would, from these days, will also get some input of this. And but what we need to do is to prioritize and clarify and develop our education regarding connections to research. What do we want and how will we do it? And then we also might need to have a different level of research-based education. It could be more like a research orientation, maybe in the bachelor levels, where you have teachers that have experience, but then also when you have really research-based education, you need to get the students involved directly in research. And then you actually need the researcher back in the classroom. And at least in Sweden, it is a big problem to get researcher in the classroom because they get fundings, 100% research, 0% teaching, and it's very common in that way. And I also wrote some actions that you can do, examples of how you can accomplish a research-based education, and they are not very, what you can do when you have researchers in your education, so to say. But also to have much more, I think also Professor Nolan talked about that you actually have, when you have to get, now I lost my English. You get a lot of rewards when you have scientific research, but you also have to be highly evaluated when you do teaching, and that should be equal important in the universities. And as it is now, it's not like that in Sweden. So what I think we need to do is take a more national approach so that you equal teaching and scientific or research, and then we may actually have research-based educations later. But it is, as it is now, I can say that not all educations in Sweden are research-based in that sense that the students actually do research. I think you get the knowledge about research and you get the latest, but you don't have the teachers actually doing research. So that needs to be a difference. So I'm very impressed of how Scotland actually have taken that approach. Okay, thank you.